This is lesson 5, simplifying square roots. Find the factors of 16, where they're 1, 2, 4, 8, and 16. So it's to simplify the square root of 16 as much as possible. Well, here we can do that by doing the square root of 16, which is 4. Here it says find the factors of 36. Well, they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, 12, 18, and 36. To simplify the square root of 36 as much as possible, well, that's 6. Now it says find the factors of 121. Well, it's 1, 11, and 121. So to simplify this, the square root of 121, it would be 11. To find the factors of 81, it would be 1, 9, and 81. So to simplify the square root of 81 as much as possible, that would be 9. Now, let's look at some ones that are not so easy to do. We have the factors of 20. Well, here, what we're going to need to do, because it's not a perfect square, what we do find is underneath the radical sign, we're going to find the perfect square, the largest perfect square. And we're going to multiply that by a factor of it. So here, find the factors of 20. We've got 1, 2, 4, 5, 10, and 20. So to simplify the square factor, the square root of 20, the highest perfect square here is 4. So to do this, we find the square root of 20 would equal the square root of 4 times the square root of 5, because the factors of 20 are 4 times 5. So now we can take the square root of 4, which is 2, and then bring together and put next to the square root of 5. So my answer would be the square root, or 2 times the square root of 5. So next, let's look at the factors of 28. We have 1, 2, 4, 7, 14, and 28. So to simplify the square root of 28, we've got the square root of 28. So the factors of 28 would be 4 and 7. So 4 times 7. So now you break them apart, which I didn't do the first step here in the first problem, and I apologize for that. So we would have the square root of 4 times the square root of 7. So now we would have 2 times the square root of 7. And that would be our answer. Okay? So next, we have, for example, 2, says is 50 a perfect square? Why or why not? Well, the answer is no. And because there is no number times itself that will give you 50. Okay, so now it says rewrite 50 as a product of factors. specifically factors that are perfect squares. Well, we have one that we can do there, and that would be 25 times 2. So now if I want to rewrite the square root of 50 in simplest terms, then I could put the square root of 50 would equal the square root of 25 times 2. And you have to put this first line because then you separate. So the square root of 25 times the square root of 2 would equal 5 times the square root of 2. So next it says, is the square root, or is 128 a perfect square? No. There is no integer you can multiply to itself. That will give you 128. Okay. So again, let's rewrite 128 as a product of factors, specifically factors that are perfect squares. So here we have 128. And this takes a little bit of guess and check, okay? Especially if you don't know all the factors of 128, but you can go through them, okay? Here I can use 8 squared, or 64 times 2. So to rewrite the square root of 128 in simplest form, it would result in the square root of 64 times 2, which would equal the square root of 64 times the square root of 2, which would equal 8 square root 2. Okay? And that ends our lesson.